welcome to a new subtheme, C5 Doppler Effect, Part 1. Here we'll get started with some of the theory, the fundamentals of the Doppler effect, and also get into some calculations with respect to electromagnetic waves. As you see, the subtheme is a fairly short one, not that many standards. Hopefully we can get through it in a few videos. In this video, I hope to get through a few of the first standards. And also, within the data booklet, here's a formula that will probably become useful in the calculations for this video. One thing you should note that this formula and what we're discussing calculation-wise in this video will be with respect to electromagnetic waves. The Doppler effect with respect to the calculations on sound waves and mechanical waves, that comes up later in HL-specific content. Getting started with the theory of the Doppler effect. So if we look at the right-hand side the right-hand side, we have a wavefront diagram with wavefronts, and we have a source, the focal point, which is emitting waves. And we have an observer who's at first moving away from the waves. Right? So this guy here is moving in this direction away from the focal point, which is over there, where the waves are being emitted. Now, intuitively, what's going to happen with respect to the waves? In comparison to the waves that were emitted, the observer who's moving away will be receiving each wave crest at a longer distance, right? The wavelength will be longer in general because it will take each wave crest, or it will take consecutive wave crests a longer period to reach them. And it'll be, those wave crests will essentially be expanding from the perspective of the observer. And longer wavelengths, if we're talking about here in the case of the electromagnetic spectrum, longer wavelengths correspond to the red end of the electromagnetic spectrum, which is why when things are moving apart or when something is moving away from the source of electromagnetic waves, we tend to see what's called a redshift. Conversely, if we have somebody who is approaching the source of the waves, causing the wave fronts, the crests, to be squeezed together, leading to a higher frequency, but also a smaller wavelength. A smaller wavelength on the electromagnetic spectrum, a shorter wavelength, corresponds to the blue end of the electromagnetic spectrum, which will be a blue shift. Right, so here, a redshift, right? If a source is moving away from the observer, wavelength increases. Intuitively, that should make sense, and that leads to a shift towards the red end of the electromagnetic spectrum when we're dealing with electromagnetic waves. And if you're moving together, then we would see the blue shift corresponding to squeezing the wave crests together, leading the observer to see a relatively shorter wavelength, which corresponds to the blue end of the electromagnetic spectrum. Sound waves will get more into depth of the calculations, but what I wanted you to recognize is that the same effect will take place. If you're moving towards the source of sound waves, you'll still observe or hear a higher frequency than the actual waves which are being emitted. And let's get started with a couple of calculations. I will turn on, let me see, the calculator, and we are good to go. So here, read over the question. I provided you with the formula for, in the bottom right corner, that's the formula from the data booklet for questions relating to electromagnetic spectrum. Just to help you out here, what you should recognize, let's see. So we're given the wavelength, we're given the speed of the observer, and what we want to figure out is the wavelength of the star's light according to the observer. So we can actually figure that out if we figure out what delta lambda is equal to. Delta lambda, because I know what the wavelength is, if I can figure out delta lambda, we could adjust that wavelength to the observer's perspective. So delta lambda refers to the change in wavelength from observer's perspective. And we could figure that out with the formula. So we have delta lambda, here I'll write that out right there, is equal to, I'm going to actually, for this problem right here, I'm going to use this side of the formula because I'm given V which is the velocity of the spacecraft. I'm given c, which is the speed of light. So we're looking at the velocity of the spacecraft with respect to the speed of light in a vacuum, right? So essentially the speed of an electromagnetic wave. And that right there is going to be the formula that we use in order to get delta lambda. So delta lambda is equal to the lambda that we are working with times the ratio of v to c, the ratio of the velocity of the observer to the speed of light. So delta lambda is equal to 587.105 nm. And v is equal to, let me put this in here, v is equal to 30 times 10 to the third kilometers per second. Oh, well, I already put it in kilometers, so now it's in meters per second. Divided by 3 times 10 to the 8th, which is the speed of light, or the speed of an electromagnetic wave in a vacuum. There we go. Let's type this into the formula here. So I have into the calculator 587.105 nanometers times and then divided by 3 times 10 to the 8th. And then we are left here with, let me see, we are left here, do I have, right, we have 587, right, so we're left here with 0.058705, that's fine. That's our delta lambda. Delta lambda equals 0.0587105. And now we have to, that's the change in the actual wavelength from the emitted wavelength. And the question is that change going to be subtracted from the wavelength or should it be added? So the key here is it's moving towards the star, right? So the person is moving towards the star, which leads to the wavelength being squeezed together, right? It's observing the wave crests at a smaller period at an increased frequency corresponding to a smaller wavelength. So to get my final answer here, I could subtract this from the wavelength. So 587.105 nanometers. Take away my answer. I'll just write delta lambda, which is the answer for room. Right, this is from right there. So I could do, let's see, we have 587.105. Take away second answer. And I'm left with, in this case, 587.046. So the observed wavelength from the perspective of the observer is 587.046 nanometers. Because we never changed out the unit. All right, so that should be our final answer for the question 4. Well, that was question 4. And then, let me take a look here. And then for the next question is question 5. So here we're given a specific line in the spectrum, in a sodium D line spectrum, right, which is what the frequency that is being emitted by this element, has a frequency of 4.758 times 10 to the 14 hertz. When observed from Earth, light from the same spectral line emitted by the Andromeda galaxy has a frequency of 4.750 hertz. To what color of the light spectrum does the wavelength shift correspond? Right, so let's see what they're talking about here. So what's the, right, so if you notice, let me see. So they're telling us that the emitted light has that frequency, right? So the emitted electromagnetic wave has the frequency which I just highlighted. But when observed from Earth, what happens? It's a little bit less, right? So we have a situation where in this case, the frequency of the spectrum is greater than the observed frequency. Right? So the observed frequency is less than the actual frequency. When does that occur? That occurs when you're moving away from the source of the wave, which corresponds to a red shift. Okay. Since the person from the same spectral, right? So since the person on Earth is observing at a lower frequency, that's due to the Doppler effect, where they are moving away from the source of the wave, which is a red shift. And now they want us to calculate the speed of the galaxy relative to the Earth. So what do we know the speed is going to be? We have, let's see, here we're going to use from above delta F, right? The change in frequency we have over F is going to be equal to V over C. That's given to you. Or C times delta F over F is equal to the velocity of the galaxy. Now we can just plug in the information that we have. So it's going to be C, we know, is equal to 3 times 10 to the 8th. And the change in frequency is equal to 0.008. So we have 0.008 times 10 to the 14. And let's see, all over the actual frequency, which is 4.758 times 10 to the 14. And I can plug that all into the calculator, and that will give us the velocity. So let's see here. So we have 3 times 10 to the 8th times 0.008 times 10 to the 14 divided by 4.758 times 10 to the 14. And that gives us, I will round it. And that gives us, in this case, I could say 504, I'll round 400 meters per second. Right, so we 5044 meters per second, or even to 3. So the speed of the galaxy looks to be 504 kilometers per second. Based on the observed change of the galaxy moving towards or away from the Earth, well, we know from the redshift, right, this is from the first problem, we know that they are moving apart, right, moving apart. How do we know? Well, if they have, in the case, if the frequency is decreasing, or the observed frequency is less than the actual frequency, that corresponds to a redshift. Redshift corresponds to the observer moving away from the source of the wave. Good. So we covered a lot of material there. I think we actually got through almost all of the first. Let me go back up. We got through the first set of standards. We even looked at spectral lines in that last question. And we'll move forward with some HL level material in the next video. So see everybody there.